For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your favorite podcast app. And remember to subscribe if you like what you hear. Ugh, I hate that. And I got to get that out of the way. I always find that so tacky on YouTube channels because I think people kind of get the whole like subscribe and get notifications thing now. So it's always just really weird to do that. That would be like me signing off on the radio show going, hey, if you liked the show, email the program manager and tell them that you liked it. Like, no, you have to have that confidence that you know that you're good, right? So, but as a small business owner, I have a lot to say. You know, last week I talked about customer service and how it ain't what it used to be. And I find it to be so maddening because my husband and I own two small businesses. We have Speak Free Media, which produces our radio content, newspaper content, podcast stuff, and books. And then we have two e-commerce stores. We've got, a swim company, and then we've got a coffee company, the swim company in Winnipeg, and then the coffee company in West Hollywood. And then we actually have a third secret e-commerce store that we aren't the names behind it, but we still run it. And so something that we've kind of picked up, and I talked about this last week with me having a customer service background back in the day when I worked retail, that I don't know why it's lacking now, customer service. I don't know why I think employees aren't going to put up with your shit. That's first and foremost. We see that. And they shouldn't have to in some instances when, an enraged customer's throwing things at them. But there's some things that maybe the general public needs to know about a small business. It's very different than going into your Walmart, to your Amazon, or to your whatever, to your Home Depot. People are still people, don't get me wrong. Employees are still employees. But I'm saying in the way that customers react, people need to have a little bit more understanding when it comes to a small business. And so for the next 30 minutes on the show this week, I'm going to be speaking as a small business owner. This might be just an open letter from small business owners to you, the consumer or customer, whatever, right? To the general public. Anybody who frequents a small business, listen up, because I've got some insight for you, and maybe even some small business owners will take something away from this as well. It's coming up on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here, back on The Scribble. Okay, so our swim and underwear company called Happy Bulge Swim Company, we were very clear at the very beginning when we started this, and it started as a traveling Pride booth. It was not an e-commerce store, but I was not going to be the name behind it. Now, we launched it in Phoenix over 5 years ago now, 5.5 years ago, and we were going to be a traveling Pride booth. We did 5 Prides that first year. We were going to do even more, and then the pandemic hit, and you know the rest of the story. So we shifted to being e-commerce. Now, we had no interest in doing e-commerce because you're going to have shipping, you're going to have returns, you're going to have, even added more costs, and we just didn't want to do that, right? People are going to order the wrong size. They have to send it back. Who pays for it to be sent back? Amazon has kind of already set the precedent that you can return for free, and we're not going to pay to have you send something that you didn't order correctly. We're not going to pay for that. Sorry, that's not our fault. And so, and here's why we don't. And let me just sort of give you the breakdown. So our company does not spend one penny on advertising. We do not spend money on Facebook ads. We don't pay influencers. We're approached all the time to advertise on like underwear blogs or whatever. We do not give out money. and that's just because, first of all, we have so many platforms, like I said, the radio stuff, whatever, so that if we want to advertise, for free, we can do that. So it's not a problem. And we have radio platforms, so we can run our coffee commercials on them. It's not a big deal. And so that's one thing, is that we keep the costs really, really low. Now, something that happened in June, during Pride Month of all times, was just out of nowhere. We got bombarded with people saying that they just complaining about deliveries. I didn't get it. It's late. It was damaged. It was whatever. And I'm not usually on the front lines. We have staff, so but that kind of thing gets escalated to me. And so I'm sitting here going, this is really weird. It's really weird. So like I said, the store has been around 5 years. It's only been e-commerce though for, I guess, about 3.5, maybe close to 4 years. But in this time, I can count on, not even on one hand, truthfully, not how many times somebody has said that, I didn't get the mail, and we've been able to prove that they did not. Like there's always these jokes about the Postal Service and how unreliable and, how they destroy things, whatever. I mean, I get it. This is like a flat envelope with a pair of underwear inside. So it's not like we're sending boxes that are getting damaged, whatever. You're basically getting an envelope in the mail, and there's tracking. So it'll show, when it was delivered, what have you. But just this past June, all of a sudden I'm getting all these emails like, here's another one that says they didn't get it. Here's another one. Here's another. I'm like, but they know that we've got tracking numbers, right? That it shows it was left in your community mailbox, or it was left at the front desk, or it was left, like, how are these people doing this? So what we found through some investigation, and you have to remember that I employ a team of journalists at our primary company. So journalists, researchers, we've all got at least, I think I'm the youngest of our team, and I have 20 years of experience as a journalist. So collectively we've got decades, maybe even a century of experience researching, asking the right questions, things like that. So I'm looking and going, this is really weird, because we had, I think, 7 of them in 1 week. And like I said, that's more than we've ever had in 4 years. So what's going on? Are they going to the same place? Are these people, are they in the same city? And then we were like, do they know each other? Are these people connected? So we go onto Instagram, we go onto the social media pages where we had interactions with them. Are they friends? Is Joe friends with Sam? Does Sam know Dave? How are these people? Just, is it coincidental? Is this just really, I can understand maybe things getting lost during the Christmas season, right? The holiday shop, there's more packages going through and things are, but it's June. So I'm looking at it, and so the very first one that came in was from Toronto, and the guy had emailed and said, I didn't get it, what's the deal? Do you send me another one? Do you refund? And I said, okay, well, let's just look. He lives in an apartment block. Let's just say, let's just call there. Let's call the apartment block and ask them to look and see at their security camera. First of all, do they have a security camera? If they do, can you go back to June 14th at, whatever time it was confirmed delivered, see that it was in fact delivered to this guy's mailbox. And if it was, we're going to have a problem. So that was going to be our next step. But first we just said, Have you checked your mailbox? Oh, I checked, there's nothing. Okay, great. So we emailed and said, here's what we'll do. We're going to talk to your building manager. We will have them check the security cameras and we'll find out what's going on. Wouldn't you know it that he emailed minutes later, my mistake, it was in the mailbox. And I kind of thought, okay, so let's try this now with some of the other ones that came through. I mean, am I calling him a liar? Yeah, I guess I am, really, in the way that I'm saying it, right? So I kind of thought, all right, that worked. Like, we called his bluff. We were going to do it anyway. We just didn't have to. So I was like, all right, so just saying that we were going to do this, we were going to kick it up a notch. And I'm saying this all just in the sense of customer service. Like, this is, you have to look at, you're protecting your own company because all of a sudden he's going to now go and put a review that, oh, I didn't get it, whatever. Well, let's do our due diligence and then we'll, see what comes of it. So Toronto case settled, fine. Then we get another one, like I said, these were all kind of coming in at the same time. So we get this other one is forwarded to me. I look at it. I don't remember where he was from, somewhere in the United States. And I didn't get it. What do I do now? Do you give me a refund? And I said, well, here's the deal. It says that it was successfully delivered. So what we do is we will look into this. We'll talk with the United States Postal Service. We will find out and we'll get back to you. But it might take a couple days because, another one who's living in a building complex. So I said, oh, by the way, the post office needs your phone number just to reach out during their investigation. So he gives a phone number. We're like, okay, great. The next morning, all of a sudden, we get hit with a chargeback. And what that means is somebody's gone to their bank and basically said, I didn't get this, I didn't order it, or something. And the bank takes back the money right away. So in this particular case, the guy had spent over $100 on swimwear. And that money, by the way, when you deal with Shopify, is taken from you immediately. That money is clawed back from your business instantly. You get the chance to do your own research, investigation, contact the customer, try to work it out. But until then, that money comes out of your... Now, if you don't have a balance with Shopify, and what happens is if you have a bunch of transactions in one day, Shopify just holds a balance for you, and then you can set up how often Shopify deposits into your bank account. So ours is every couple days or whatever it is. So we still had money. We had over $100 and some, so they just clawed it back, and it wasn't a big deal. But think about it, though, is that if you're just a small operation... a stay-at-home mom making soap or something, or a veteran who's just needing some extra cash or something to keep yourself busy, that $100 and some is going to be a big hit. Because what happens then is if you don't have a balance, it's coming out of your bank account. They're taking the money out of your bank account. And that's just not right, because it should just be sort of, let's just leave it there. Let's put it on a temporary hold or something. No, they take it right away from you. And you get about 3 weeks in our instance anyway. You get 3 weeks to kind of investigate, pull it all together. And so, first of all, it's offensive, right? Because the customer had said, I'll check with the building owner or whatever. And I said, great. And then he wanted us to contact the Postal Service. And we're like, but it's you're not even telling us about your building. So they're going to ask us questions that we just can't answer. So why would we be the middle person? So the Postal Service is going to ask us, okay, well, are the mailboxes in the building or is it on the outside of the building? I don't know. We'll have to get back to you. So now we're going to go talk to the guy. Then we're going to get call through the 800 number again. Meanwhile, it's like, it's your property. It's your home. They're going to ask you questions about the lay of the land, and you deal with it. It's kind of, we're not brushing our hands of it and saying, but we can't do this on your behalf. We don't have answers that they're going to be asking questions about. So he refused to do that. And we were like, all right, well, whatever. So you get the charge back, and we go and say, all right, well, here's what's going to happen is we're going to investigate this. Obviously, we take it seriously because it says successfully delivered, but you're saying it's not. We're going to check with, your building. We're going to talk to the property manager. We'll get the cameras. We'll, get whatever. And he had done the chargeback the next morning. So it was kind of like, all right, well, it's on now, because this is somebody who didn't even contact the boat. If you really wanted these products that you bought, why would you just right away go to the bank and get your money back? Why wouldn't you assist the post office in locating it? Why won't you give us any information? Then he blocked us on Instagram, so we couldn't write to him there. And then his email, we were asking, you live in a condo complex, but you just gave the general mailing address. You didn't say if it's a unit 1, apartment B, suite 104. Do you need to include that when you receive mail? And he wrote back email saying, I gave you the address before. Right, but we need to know is there a differentiator? Is there a secondary address part? Like, is there a unit, an apartment, a suite, whatever? The bank is handling this dispute, so you'll need to talk to them. And so he wrote back and said, the bank handles financial transactions, not speaking on your behalf and confirming addresses on online orders you place. And then he never responded again. So you look at something like this and go, okay, as a small business owner, we have the resources. My team has the resources. We've got a lawyer. We've got a whole bunch of people. Is it going to end up costing me hundreds of dollars just to prove this guy wrong? Yes, it is. But you know what? I'm going to make that point. I'm going to do that. You're not going to screw over my company. You're not going to fuck around. You're not going to lie and say you didn't get it, and then all of a sudden, we're going to see pictures of you on Instagram wearing the shit. Like, really? That's not going to happen. So we start to do this investigation, and we compile it all, and then all these questions are coming out. Like I said, we're a bunch of journalists, so we're getting a whole bunch of these questions like, why isn't he responding to Canada Post or the United States Postal Service? Why did he block us on Instagram if he's wanting us to help him out with this? Why is he being evasive and not answering questions about what his unit number is or if it should be included? Like, why? Like, it just doesn't seem right. And so we then submit it to the bank, and we've got, 3 weeks before they look at it. And sure enough, we get our money back. The chargeback was reversed, and we get the money back. But like I'm saying, the single mom or the stay-at-home mom or the veteran or whoever is, they might just out of the kindness of their heart go and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll send you a new one. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'll refund your money. And that's, okay, well, now you've just trained that person to realize they can get away with this, and they'll do it again the next time. So that's the second one that we were dealing with. Then the third one, this was the one that's the most bizarre, is same kind of a deal where he's in an apartment block. And it's always funny because these people say they don't get the tracking information, they don't get the notification, but they always contact us the day after it was delivered. So that seems oddly coincidental as well. So this guy lives, I don't remember where he was not Texas, but he was somewhere. And he emails, it was a very nice email though, saying, oh, I didn't, it says that it was delivered, but I didn't get it. Like, I don't know. I'll have the building manager review the cameras. So he was already one step ahead of us because he said, oh, I'll have them check it and I'll get back to you tomorrow. So he comes back and he says the next day that, there's a problem in our complex, in our condo complex, where the Postal Service is just leaving things out in the open. They're not even going into the mailbox. They're not even doing this. And 7 people have had things stolen, according to the building manager. And so he's going to talk to USPS. He's going to, I realize it's not your fault, but I guess I'm out of luck. So what do I do now? Do you just give me a refund? Do you just send me? And we were like, whoa. Okay, let's just slow down here. Because I said, if that's widespread and that's a problem, then certainly the Postal Service is going to want to, hear about this. And so I kind of thought, I smell a lie. There's something that's not adding up with this guy's emails. So, because it was forwarded to me, I go the next morning, I look up the building, I find I go to the big corporation, I find who's in charge of that property, I get the woman on the phone, and her name is Sonia, and I am like, okay, Sonia, if there's a problem with mail at your building, who would they talk to? Me. I said, great. Is there anybody else though? Because I was referred to, the building manager was referred, or the property manager was referred to as a him. So is there somebody else maybe on the grounds there that this person, she knew exactly, by the way, the resident that I was talking about. I said that it was like suite number, 104. And she was like, oh, is that so-and-so? I'm like, yep. She's like, yeah, he's something else. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So I'm sitting, and again, I was taping this in our recording studio, so I have the entire call recorded. And I said, okay, I'm going to read you these emails that he sent to our company. I'll forward you all this stuff. I'm not hiding it, but I just want to get we'll go line by line, claim by claim, and see what's true and what's not. Okay. Did he contact you about mail not being delivered? And she said, no. I said, okay. have you had 7 people on the property have mail go missing because of a problem with the United States Postal Service? She said, no. Okay. Did this person ask you to review the camera footage? No. Okay. Who else on the property would have access that he could have spoken to and said, can this be reviewed? She said, well, there's the condo board, but they would come to me and I would review it. She said, I can talk to the condo board, but at this property, if there's even just a piece of garbage on the grass, I get 13 phone calls. So if 7 people had mail go missing, I'm going to hear about that. And I said, okay, great. And then I said, okay, so then one of his next emails says that the building manager said that there's other stuff on the video that you guys can't have because my employee had told him, great, can we get the name of the property manager and let's get the video of that happening? Because if it's a public camera on the outside of the building, that's fair game, right? That's up for grabs. Well, the building manager said no, that there's sensitive stuff on it that he can't show and whatever. And so I asked her if that's true, and she said, we can look at it. That's not a problem. I said, great. So I come back to the dude because I then got involved. I stepped in and I was like, okay, here's the deal. I talked with the property manager and I need to know with whom you spoke because the property manager has no idea about this claim. Who did you speak to? And he didn't reply. And I said, you're making some very serious accusations about a federal agency and, mishandling, which is, that mail tampering or stealing is a federal crime. So I said, I need to know with whom you spoke. I said, and by the way, we are reviewing the footage just to see these unfounded claims of, and we do have the time that yours was delivered and we'll be watching to see if you in fact did get it. He goes silent for a day or two and then he comes back and he emails and says, it was delivered today. Apparently USPS damaged the envelope and they went and reboxed it. And they sent it to me today. Another thing that he'd said was he had gone to the local post office he talked to them. And they said that there's nothing that they can do. So I repeatedly asked him in emails, which post office did you go to? He would never tell me. So I got the building manager. She's like, well, this is the post office that his stuff would be delivered to if it didn't fit in the box. And so I said, okay. And we also talked with that post office and they said that you did not speak to them about this. So I've got all of these, this proof that he didn't talk to anybody. He didn't talk to the right people. He didn't go to this post office. He didn't talk to anybody there. There's no mail problem at the property. Who did you talk to about this? Whose ear did you, I know who I spoke to. I know what happened. But anyway, the case is closed. And I was like, nobody, it's just getting started. And truthfully, at the end of the day, that was when I said, oh, and then after that, I said, do you have any other information to send along? He then sent an email. This is absolutely true. That appeared to be like a bounce back email. This email address is no longer in service, blah, blah, blah. And then he did like a fake IP address and then like Yahoo Mail. And I was kind of like, here's the deal. So I replied back. I'm not joking. This is absolutely serious. I said, you can be whatever public nuisance or whatever obnoxious nuisance. That was the word. You can be whatever obnoxious nuisance in your community that you want to be, but you will not fuck with my companies. And I said, you're not going to waste my time. You're not going to screw around. So you never order from us again. I don't even want to hear from you. I don't want to see your name ever again, but you're not going to fuck with my companies. That's it. That was it. And he's never replied again. So that's what I'm saying again, going back to the whole, this is what you do to a small business. I have the resources that I can just go and say, Bonnie, one of my reporters, one of my producers, one of my researchers, whoever, look into this, find out get me the name of the person. I will get on the phone. I'll talk to them. So I had an 13-minute phone call with this woman. She basically answered all the questions that I had. But the fact is, why does a small business have to go through that, right? And would most do that? Probably not. But like I said, at the end of the day, that business is your baby, right? So you protect it. You have to. It's not enough just to take somebody's word for it. And just because we had that weird string of double-digit people all saying the same things, that was just really weird. And as soon as we started to bust 2 or 3 of them, all of the claims just stopped right after that. It was very, very odd. It was really, really weird. So, anyway, so again, just as a small business owner, I just want to say to the small businesses that are listening, protect yourself. Truthfully, honestly, protect yourself. Have those safeguards in place, because when and here I am now giving all of our loss prevention stuff out, but and this is something that came up when we were investigating these cases, was that we have the photographs of their orders. So we know exactly what was in the envelope. So you can't go and say to us, oh, I didn't get such and such item. Buddy, we photograph it 3 times before it's mailed to you. So if it's still originally sealed when you got it, we know exactly what's in it. Here's the picture. This is the envelope you received, right? Great. Here's what's inside. And when I did an interview about Happy Bulge before, the interviewer, the host of the show, had actually said to me, he's like, I've never heard of a small business doing that. Like, you photograph the orders and I said, yeah, because we've had people go and say, I didn't get it or whatever. No, we can tell you exactly what was in the envelope, what size it was. We know the weight of the envelope. We have the photographs of it. We've got it. And in the event that it apparently goes missing, we can send the picture to the building manager and go, this is the envelope you're looking for, by the way. And again, why does a small business owner have to do that? I can understand the idea of like scamming Amazon because it's such a big company and they'll never know and they've got so many. And I'm not saying that that's stealing, so I'm not condoning that. I'm not saying it, but I'm saying I understand the appeal of doing that, right? Because they've got so much money, whatever. But it's a small business. Like, think about that. Because what if I am the stay-at-home mom and I employ a veteran to go and deliver around my neighborhood? Well, now I've got this chargeback. That bank just clawed the money out of my account. Now I can't afford to pay you, Mr. Veteran, this weekend to deliver my stuff. So now my business is hurting and I'm taking money away from somebody else. And so you have to realize as a customer, like, that's what you're doing to these businesses. And so to the small business owner, if you're the owner of the company, then have those late nights of researching and finding it to protect your business, your bottom line. But at the end of the day, like, have those safeguards there. Photograph your shit, get tracking numbers. If you need to be resourceful and, call their bluff, do that. Like I said, we've got other techniques. We've got other things in store that I haven't even talked about, but I'm not going to, because now people will figure out, but we've checked Ring doorbell cameras from across the hallway or from across the street. Oh yes. We'll check surveillance camera up across the street from you. We'll check the neighbor's house across the street. We've done it. We've done it. And let me tell you, by the way, not that we've had a ton of chargebacks that have been hit. We have never lost a chargeback. I think we've had no more than 10, so it's not like it happens all the time. We've never lost one case. Ever. So think about that, right? If you want to lie to your bank, you want to go and say, I didn't get this. Well, we're going to talk to your bank and say, this person is committing theft and or fraud. So you might want to look into what else they're doing, what other claims they make, what other thing are they doing a lot of chargebacks? Have they had one like every month for the past 6 months? Because here's the deal. And like I said, we give a full-on report. When you send your rebuttal through Shopify and you have your say, we've got all the emails from the guy. We've got the screenshots of him blocking us on Instagram. Why would you block us on Instagram if you want us to help find your mail? Right? I mean that. And so, arm yourself. We keep records. We keep logs. We have, we've got it all. We've got it all. So tell me your thoughts. If you're a small business owner, first of all, have you experienced things like this? Have you had dishonest people? And then people will go and when somebody's pissed off and they'll want to write a review. It's like, you don't even have reviews on your website. Yeah, for this exact reason. Somebody's going to have something totally unrelated and just rip us apart for something that's not about the product quality or the, whatever. Well, no, that's our own smarts. We're protecting ourselves that way. So send me an email live at jbonair.com. Small business owners, I want to hear your nightmare situations where, customers have, really, yeah. And don't get me wrong, we have amazing customers. Just before we wrap this up, because we're actually out of time for the show altogether, but Happy Bulge and Buff Boy Coffee, 99% of the customers are fun, playful. I love when and I've said this in that interview that I was just referring to, they will send pictures of their mail when it arrives. They will lay their products out on the table and take pictures of it. They send selfies in their underwear, whatever. I love that people are so excited and happy about the products and they're so supportive and they tell their friends and they post for free and they do all this other stuff. That's what a small business owner loves. That's better than reviews. If you're going to take pictures of yourself and do, mirror selfies in your underwear and tell everybody about how great they are and drive traffic to us, that's better than writing a review that might or might not be true. So send me an email live@jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. Oops, I did it again, ladies and gentlemen. This is my third show that we're taping today. I think I said this either on the last one or the two episodes before this, that we're during my radio days, we had a schedule that I loved because I would tape Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and we would be off I would be off Wednesday, Friday. And it was tough because during entertainment reporting, something could happen on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday night and then I've got to talk about on Wednesday. So we had to work around that. But with the podcast, there's sometimes, especially in the summer, and we also do it for December, I'll do the 4 or the 5 episodes in one sitting. So that's, 2 hours of talking. And then we're good for the month. We bank them, and then every Friday there's the new episode. And so that's what we're doing right now. For me, it's July 5th. For you, it's something later in July. I don't have the calendar, but so that's what's going on. Is I've got so much to say. I made all these notes just because they said we're going to do 4 shows today, and I've got them all scribbled down, and I've been rambling as I tend to do, and we've gone a little bit over the 30 minutes. So I will talk to you same time, same place next week. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Once again, that email address is live@jbonair.com. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some